Up next on Inside ChampCar, hitting the track at Hallett. Welcome to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Polanski. He is
Bill Strong.
This week on the big show, we look back at the 8 + 7 hours at Hallett Motor Racing Circuit. We've got a tech tip that'll keep you hygienically happy. And our guests, the dynamic duo from Kruger Tuned Racing. I always like the fact, Bill, we interview them before we do the start of the show. We do it out of order so we can see cool things like, man, that was a great interview. You got to listen. You got to stick around.
Well, they're Porsche owners. They've got to be cool, right?
Exactly. And you got to hear the story, by the way, folks, about how they got this Porsche, because I am way jelly. That's what the kids say, by the way. I am way jelly over how they got this Porsche. And if you stick around for about 20 minutes, you'll get to hear that story. So,
well, you started off the show saying hitting the track. Unfortunately, we had a car hit the track. It was a Hallett, one of our teams that's a pretty competitive car with us, a 350Z. Lost their brakes or something to that effect, a mechanical issue, and they went off the track, hit the tire wall, went through the air, I don't know, 40 or 50 times. We'll make it sound good. 40 or 50 times, landed on the roof. Everybody's okay. Everybody's good. But safety stuff worked fine. But our Flagtronics, we got to run that this weekend. That was really cool to see how that actually handled it, because we got this, the flaggers at Hallett have a special code word they use for when something bad is happening at that moment, just so that everybody can kind of get off the radios and kind of listen and get ready to start throwing flags. We saw the yellows go up in the Flagtronics as soon as he said alert. And we waited a second because I think he's assessing the situation.
Sure. That's how we're taught to do it.
Yep. And he gets back on the radio. And by that time, we can already see on Flagtronics, there is a car number sitting out by the forest over the fence.
What is wrong
over the
in
tire
this
wall,
picture?
Off the track.
Wow.
Not necessarily in that order.
Yes.
So let's go back again. We just rewound it. On the track, off the track, over the fence, and into the forest. But not into the forest, up against it. And didn't get quite there, but close. And so Flagtronics actually told us a lot about that situation. And of course, the flags are all yellow, but his isn't. So that tells us another thing, that the unit's in a position to where it can't really receive something. So that's given us a lot of information about the situation that we can pass on to safety and stuff. So really neat thing.
The Flagtronics have like a transmitter, like an antenna on top of the car. Is that how it works? Okay.
No, it's actually on top of the unit, and it can actually still send out right there. But I think that was an older, or it wasn't updated with the latest software. And because of that, it didn't give the, we had a Mustang, the number 28, the one we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So they had one in it, and they hit they had the rear lock up on them, went off road, and I think it got a little bit of air, came back down, and it set off the medical alert system in it. Okay. And so basically it phones home. Are you all right? It asks you, are you okay?
It's like, what do they call that thing in the cars?
The Chevrolet had that.
Yes. OnStar.
Yeah, OnStar. So it's like that.
Not a sponsor.
No. and it asked, and it popped up, and it showed it being on the screen.
Cool.
And so that told us a lot. So, but yeah, that one didn't have the latest firmware update. So if you guys are getting ready for the next races coming up, please update your firmware from the website on Flagtronics.
Cool.
And it was a pretty neat system. We got to play with it a lot and use it, and it was very effective. We had one passing under yellow the whole race, the whole race weekend. So yeah, not that many yellows though. So I guess the percentages.
It's hard to pass under the yellow if there aren't many yellows.
Yes.
But I know I don't
know. They did a full course yellow whenever we put safety on track. Sure. But still, you would have you would still have some passing under yellows without that system.
Yeah, as they start getting it under control and everything.
And it does become mandatory June 1st. So right after Watkins Glenn, it's a mandatory system.
Well, and you were talking about the passing under the yellow. That was a bit of an issue earlier in the season. So it sounds like the boss has drilled that into the heads of the drivers that's a bad thing, and they can be taught. Apparently, the old dogs can learn some new tricks.
Yeah.
You would,
Okay.
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 We are talking about race car drivers, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
All right.
Yeah.
I digress. So,
But yeah, it was fun, and
all right.
I just got back home after 20 weeks on the road, so that's been a fun experience.
And
Get home
your office is so tidy. I'm so impressed.
Well, this is all the stuff that came out of the minivan that got totaled a couple of weeks ago,
yeah.
and I had nowhere to put it. And, yeah.
If anybody wonders why we don't do this as a video cast,
that's why.
I'll do a screenshot here of this and put it up somewhere. And
all my manuals for the Toyotas that I never work on.
There you go.
Those things.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so quick rundown. We talked a lot about it in the next segment, but what all happened on Saturday and Sunday at Hallett?
Well, let's go back to Saturday. So Saturday, we had a good race.
Yeah, sounded like it.
Kruger Tuned Racing ended up winning that race, beat the CU Boulder team, but who actually controlled that race was Basil Weenie and their Mazda Miata. Up until the end, they had some part failures on the car, which caused them to, I think they had a hub failure, and that dropped them back pretty far while they fixed all that. Wheels America, same thing. They had that race under control until they had a hub failure on that car. I think the whole wheel went flying off the car at one point.
Wow.
It was one of those Miatas. Might not have been them, but we did have some Miatas lose some Miata hubs. Even some of the good ones that aren't supposed to break, I heard kind of broke. So then the CU Boulder team, those guys, those are college students. They have a Formula SAE team,
right?
It's a car team, and they travel the country, man, racing. Yeah. And these guys are just getting faster and faster. So much so that Saturday, they were only about 0.3 of a second off the Wheels America fastest time of the day.
Wow.
Of a 1:28.43, they did a 1:28.411.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then Sunday. Basil Weenie wins a race. They pretty much controlled the race from the start.
We got to get those guys on the show just so I can find out why the heck they're called Basil Weenie Racing, because that's just...
I don't know. Yeah,
there's a story behind. There's got to be a story.
Yeah, Joe White, who is the brainchild behind that car, builds it. It's his car,
right?
And Joe is I don't know, 150 years old, but doesn't act it. I mean, that man is smart with a car, can build a heck of a car, and it's an Ecotech Miata too. Ecotech powered Miata. But and I joke about his age, but he's an old guy and retired.
Yeah.
With does this. He has his own podcast as well.
Oh, nice.
So we'll get Joe on here soon.
Cool.
They're out of Texas. Kruger Tuned finished that race in second, and the CU Boulder team finished down in eighth, but they did set the fastest time of the day at a 1:28.707, and they did quite well. The Night Industries Racing, Pontiac Firebird, did really well too. I was pulling for them like crazy. I kept calling it a Camaro all day. I don't know why.
I don't either. So I have to ask, did they have a little red light in the front of the car going back and forth? I
think it was too fast. You had too much of a red shift.
Oh, is that what it was? All right.
Science.
I don't know science. I'm not a science guy.
Yeah, every engineer is going, wait, no, it's blue.
That is the best name, and it needs to have car number 2000. By the way.
Oh yeah.
We gotta work on that. Sorry, my mind. I watched the pilot episode, just a tiny bit of the pilot episode of Knight Rider.
Yeah.
How that show made it past the first season, how that show got out of a pilot is beyond me. But hey.
I met what's his name?
Hasselhoff, the Hoff.
Yeah, the Hoff at Universal Studios. I think it was in 80. I want to say 84.
Oh wow.
He wasn't very nice to the children around him. He was kind of like his later years, but I think if you're probably, a bunch of 10-year-olds are screaming, it would drive you crazy after a while.
All right. I bet. All right. And Sunday also, I was cool. Another great story that we're going to hear from the guys at Kruger Tuned Racing. about why they were as impressed with their second place on Sunday as they were on Monday of their win on Saturday. So
they finished 21.9 seconds back. They had the lead for a bit until they got stuck in some traffic, and Basil Weenie was able to pull away and get it. And it was tough. It's one of those races that it's about conserving fuel.
Right.
Some of these Miatas had hard times going the distance.
Sure.
So once you get ahead, you got to start rolling off that throttle a bit early, doing all the little secret stuff to make it go more.
It never ceases to amaze me how after 7 hours or 8 hours, first and second split by 21.997 seconds.
It's crazy. And that's
amazing.
That's a mile away compared to some of our races.
Right.
You got some 14-hour races that it was like a 0.1 second. I mean, it was close. It was less than a second.
So cool. All right, so I know you caught up with the Kruger Tuned racing guys after the race on Saturday. Let's give that a listen.
Down here with Kruger Tuned Racing, wins here at Hallett. Saturday's race. Man, that was a pretty rough day for a lot of teams out there, but you guys ended up doing pretty well and winning this thing.
Yeah, we ran a lot of strategy and just tried to run consistent laps, not make mistakes, try to outlast the teams, but still go fast enough to keep close enough to them. And I guess it paid off.
Yeah, because they had to come in for fuel at the end there.
Yeah, we were good on fuel, especially because I was driving so slow.
Was it pretty hot out there?
Yeah, it's very hot, but cool suit and stick your hand out the window every once in a while to blow some air in. It wasn't too bad.
So tell us a little about the car.
So it's a 98 Boxster. Started as basically a field. It was a field car, been sitting around for a while, and we got it and built it, and we've been working on it for 3 years now, getting closer and closer, doing better. We did really well at Daytona, and so figured we'd be competitive here. So
who are your drivers this weekend?
Drivers, I'm J.C. Kruger. It's Mark Kruger, my cousin, Josh Jack, and Mike Senogen.
Cool. You got a big crew here this weekend with you?
And Ryan Reynolds is our crew, and we got Richard here is helping us today as well.
Cool. All right, guys. Are you going to do anything different for tomorrow?
No, same strategy tomorrow.
All right. Cool. Kruger Tuned Racing wins here at Hallett on Saturday.
All right, well, congratulations to Kruger Tuned Racing for their win on Saturday and to Basil Weenie Racing for their win on Sunday. And we look forward to catching up with all those folks. And, again, stay tuned because in just a few minutes we're going to hook up with the guys at Kruger Tuned Racing, and you do not want to miss that. Good stuff there. All right, you know what that means. You know what time it is. It's a special time. It's a really important time.
Don't have my watch on.
Here we go. It's this time. Tech tip time. Here. Go, Bill. Go.
It's time to clean your stuff, man.
Wait. I'm supposed to clean it?
You got to keep your stuff clean.
No wonder I never got any dates at the racetrack.
See, you got to keep those stuff clean. Everything. You go out racing, we never race when it's 67 degrees outside and no humidity. We're always racing when it's in the 90s with 90% humidity. Oh, yeah. 90% humidity, right. Or even in the cold of winter.
Yeah.
We're racing in suits that are made of material that doesn't like to breathe.
That's true.
And they get funky, they get skunky, and and most of us, well, except for there's a few of them out there that are in fighting weight, in the best shape of their lives with no water retention, and then there's others like us that are well-rounded people that we may perspire a bit much when we're racing.
We enjoy the finer things in life.
Yes, we do enjoy the finer things in life. So, it's one of those things that your suit takes a beating.
Yep.
The underwear for your suit takes a beating. Your balaclava, your socks, your shoes, your gloves, your helmet, the microphone in your helmet, everything just takes an absolute beating. So what do? Well, you get home, everybody just shoves it in their bag. They put it in their truck and they take it home. And what do? They forget about it. I downloaded the car. I got to change the brakes, but they forget about cleaning their suit. So the next race they go to, they pull it out, they get it inspected, and holy carp, it's got mold and everything all over it, and just really funky stuff. So what do? So you're supposed to wash your race suit. How do you wash your race suit? Well, there's a lot of products out there that you can use. There's some by Molecule, and we'll put a link in our the link section with that. Notes. I've given that to you. Yeah, the show notes. Molecule makes some really cool stuff for your suits with really specific instructions on how to do it. But there's also other ways. You can microwave. No, I'm kidding. Don't microwave your suit.
You can clean it from the inside with bleach.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
oh wait, that's different. That's different altogether.
Yeah, but you can use detergents, but very gentle detergents like Woolite. Woolite is a good choice. Basically, just spot clean any small stains that you have using the Molecule spot cleaner, or lightly rubbing a mild detergent directly on the affected area. Before starting the washer, make sure all zippers are closed. All the Velcro straps are fastened, because if you don't do that, your socks, your underwear, and everything will attach to your suit to that Velcro.
Yep.
So make sure the Velcro's done. And what I do is I have some safety pins. I put some safety pins through that to keep them closed, and so the suit doesn't come all apart.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. And then otherwise, and you don't want those Velcro bits rubbing on other parts of the suit or rubbing on like your socks, and basically becoming a lint collector for all those bits, because then the Velcro doesn't work so well. So once you wash it, what do? You just pop in the dryer, stick it on permanent press?
Sure.
That's what I would do, but that's not the right way to do it.
Isn't it like tumble dry with no heat?
No, you really shouldn't tumble dry it. Just hang it up. Just turn your suit inside out, hang it up. And a lot of folks have those super high RPM washing machines now, so they pretty much come out close to being dry. Yeah. At least I do. And that I just turn it inside out, hang it on the door.
Sure.
Just hanging it up so the air can circulate. I have a vent right over there, and of course my wife gets mad for all my underwear hanging all over the house, but
most wives do,
as they do.
Yeah,
but just hang that stuff up and let it air dry. You can get those little drying stands that you can hang, set your stuff on to have air circulating through it. Right. Just hang all your socks up and your gloves. And remember, I would never wash your gloves in the washing machine, mainly because they have leather and that vinyl stuff on it to make it so that you can grip the wheel better. Hand wash those.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
And just get them out. The same with your helmet. You can take out some of the padding and stuff, and you can kind of do that. But I don't ever do that. I just basically put a dryer sheet in it just to kind of get the smell out of it, if there is any.
And a couple other things you could do is on the race weekend itself, have a couple pairs of underwear to wear. Nothing's better at the end of like an 8 hour, when you got another 8 hours to go, to say, I'm going to put on some fresh undies, and it's like taking a shower without taking a shower. So, and that will help keep the suit a little cleaner, as far as that goes. Another thing I see all the time, and it drives me nuts, it scares the daylights out of me, is, and especially with endurance racing, because you jump out of the car, you might have a problem with the car, and a lot of times the driver might be the guy who knows the most about the car, and they start wrenching on the car wearing their driver's suit, and then it gets all full of oil and grease, and you look at their beautiful yellow suit, and the butt side of the suit's all black because they've been running around in the car. If you're wearing a fire resistant suit that's covered with oil and gas, it's no longer a fire resistant suit. So try to have like a pair of coveralls to throw on if you got to work on the car over the suit, or take it off if you can, if at all possible.
Right.
Because
chaps, you could put chaps on.
You could put chaps on. This show just took a turn. Or you could have an apron. You wear an apron while you're working on a car too. That's a good idea.
I've seen guys do that. Yeah.
So do the best you can to keep from having to make those big cleanups, because once you get that stuff on, it's never coming out. It's never completely coming out.
Yeah. The other thing too is don't set it in the sun to dry. Don't set it out on the line to dry, because Nomex doesn't handle sun well. UV will eat up that Nomex pretty quick.
Yep.
The other thing is, when you were talking about wearing the suits, I see a lot of guys walking around a paddock because they look all cool and stuff with with the top down, and they've used the arms to tie it around their waist. The problem with that is it puts a lot of stress on the zipper, and then your zipper breaks.
Right.
Ask me how I know this.
Yes.
G-Force actually told me not to do that. They just let it hang down.
Right.
Use the belt to actually, belt it in tighter.
I have a solution for that.
Grow into your suit.
Grow beyond the length of your arms.
True.
If you have enough, if you enjoy Saturday nights enough, you won't be able to tie the arms of your suit around the front.
That's funny.
Okay, I think we've killed this one enough.
Yeah, but the most important thing though is follow the instructions of the manufacturer
Right.
of your suit on how to clean it. But Molecule is a really good stuff, and you can get Molecule by the box, ton, load, pallet size, everything, because we do a lot of racing. You can get that from discoveryparts.com.
There you go.
One of the series sponsors here with ChampCar.
Very nice.
And their stuff works pretty well.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Bill, before we head out and then come back to talk to the guys from Kruger Tuned Racing?
I think we're going to have a board meeting.
Oh.
I had to do the presentation up today.
Okay.
That's kind of got up early this morning, and that's the first thing the boss had me doing. And we did that, and I think it's going to be next week. Once I get the final dates down with Dana and Tyler Pedersen, we'll start promoting that. But I think the board meeting's next week. I think.
All right. And is that open for anybody who's a member to sit in and listen and all that?
Actually, the whole world can sit in and listen and look at our financials and know that I don't make $400,000 a year by those financials.
Well, what they actually put on the financials.
Yeah,
wow,
okay.
I'm starting a rumor now. I'm really in trouble.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to come back in just a few seconds here. On the other side, we are going to talk with the guys from Kruger Tuned Racing, JC and Mark Kruger. Great conversation. You do not want to miss it. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Molansky, and this is Inside ChampCar.
Inside ChampCar is a podcast that takes a deep dive into all things going on with the ChampCar Endurance Series. Hosted by veteran journalist, radio host, and racer Brian Belansky and ChampCar's very own Bill Strong, we talk to drivers, team bosses, tech gurus, and series supporters. Episodes air every week in time for you to listen on your way to the track. Inside ChampCar is on the Racing Wire Podcast Network, found on Apple, Spotify, Google, and most popular podcasting apps.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Polanski. He is
Bill Strong.
We're doing this thing called Inside ChampCar, and with us right now are the drivers and team principals of Kruger Tuned Racing, JC and Mark Kruger. They won Saturday's race this weekend at Hallett in a Porsche Boxster. Hello, folks. How are you today?
We're doing good. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Just doing our thing here, talking racing, and that's it's like a date, Bill. You and I are like dating on Tuesday nights. Does your wife know about this?
Yeah, well, yeah, she told me to get out of the room and go to the other room, but
She's probably thankful.
Yeah.
Well, I've been gone for so long that it's loud.
She had to kick the other guy out before you got home this morning, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you
Or
go.
last night. Yeah, something like that.
So, JC, Mark, thanks for being with us. You guys had a big weekend, winning Saturday at Hallett, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But first off, talk to us a little bit about how you guys got mixed up in this racing game.
Mark, why don't you start with that, with the history of our team?
Sure. So, I mean, our history of the team itself goes a long ways back. 1959, my dad was racing SCCA, a variety of classes, and raced for pretty competitively for about 10 years, I guess, culminating in the 1967 Daytona 24-hour. He was good friends and like town-ish neighbors with Brock Yates Senior, who was
Nice.
the, car and driver senior editor.
Car culture royalty in this country.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So they were they raced together at that race and finished 15th in a wonderful Dodge Dart. Sports car supreme.
Exactly.
It was a real Dodge Dart, not that fake one, like the little tiny compact car, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that happened, in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, and Dad kind of got out of racing for a number of years, and I guess in the late 80s, my oldest brother Chuck, my dad's name was Chuck, also started racing a CCA Sports 2000 class. Did that for a few years. My dad crewed with him. And then my dad got the itch and started splitting weekends driving my brother's car. And eventually my brother was like, Dad, or he called him Pa. I said, Pa, you need to get your own car. I can't let you drive my car anymore. So, of course, he did. And a number of years they raced together in the early 90s. And through a lot of that time, JC, or in the 80s, JC and I were racing motocross. I think JC started, 82, I think?
Yeah, 1982. I was 12 years old.
Yeah, and I started when I was 11 and 85 or so, 10 or 11. And JC did it for I don't know. How long were you racing at, JC?
I raced until my mid-20s or so.
Yeah, so longer than me. I raced until I was about, I think, just 5 years, really, until I started doing school sports, and it kind of got in the way, and, moved on from racing for me until did some autocross and DE stuff in 2013, I guess.
Right.
So autocross seems to be a big contributing factor to folks moving on up to endurance racing.
Yeah, I started autocrossing too when I got into the car thing back in 1999. I had a Mazda RX-7, and then that led to DEs, and then to my first what was called ChampCar back then, but my first ChampCar race back in 2014, and then I really got hooked after that.
Yeah. So and JC and his dad did a lot of the One Lap of Americas too, so that was something that scratched the itch.
Yeah, that's true. Before that, we got into the open wheel race or the wheel racing. We did 5 One Lap of Americas together, my dad and I.
Wow,
that's always been a bucket list thing for me to do. With I don't know what kind of car, but I just think that'd be a great week of fun.
It is. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sleep deprivation, but the memories and the fact that I got to do it with my dad for 5 years, that was just really special for me, for sure.
Cool. So I see Volvos, I see Mazda RX-7s, I see a Corvette here. How did y'all get from that to the Porsche Boxster?
So I'm going to blame the Salines team for this.
Everybody does.
Yeah, I was at a Watkins Glen race, and I think it was the first race that they raced their Boxsters there. I was always a big fan of them because they were racing RX-7s, and I'm a huge RX-7 fan.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they show up with those Boxsters, and I was like, holy mackerel, those things are really fast. And I told my friend Mike who's a spec Boxster racer, and he was like, I've got a spare Boxster. Do you want it?
I need a friend like that.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a spare Boxster. Would you like it, friend? Where do I get one of those? Can I go on like Match.com? Do I have to swipe right to get to one of those?
Well, let me tell you about those Boxsters. I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago when they were starting to get really popular. You could pick them up all over the Washington, D.C. area, Northern Virginia area for a couple of grand. I mean, they had ripped tops and water damage on the interior. But they were cheap, man. And plus, I think they had those IMS issues. Some bearing or something inside the engine would just either go bad or wreck an engine, or it hadn't been replaced yet. So it was cheaper just to sell it for real cheap. Well, you could find them everywhere.
Yeah, and I think they were marketed as like an affordable Porsche. And then the people who bought them realized that having a Porsche involved maintenance, and that maintenance wasn't inexpensive.
Lot of it,
and they just kind of weren't treated terribly well. So
you were given a Boxster.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great deal because we traded seat time for the Boxster, and I was like, yeah, that's great. And then I spent all this money to turn it into a race car, which turned out to be it was still really a good deal, getting the car that way. But, we got that 19. I got it in the beginning of 19, and our first race was at Sebring in the December of that year. And yeah, we've just been it's a great little car. I haven't been really into Porsches. I own another one, or I should say my wife owns one now. But yeah, I really like it. It's a fun car. It's easy to work on. They're quick. I mean, that helps that Porsche, builds really good sports cars for the streets, and they makes them easy to translate into race cars.
So you guys have one of those 4-liter engines in it?
No, it's a 2.5-liter engine.
It's got a special turbo boost in the front that you can't see, though.
Right.
I'm checking. I'll take my ChampCar hat off.
Oh yeah. So in impound on Saturday, Thomas is underneath there with a tape measure, and I'm like, what the heck is he measuring underneath there? And he was measuring axles to see if we'd done a 6-speed swap to it. And I was like, oh, okay.
He just gets under a car with a tape measure and just says whatever he wants, right?
Right.
Yeah, who was that? I think somebody did that one time. They were just sitting underneath the car, and it's just like, what are you doing down there? It's just making everybody nervous.
I have friends like that.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about Hallett. I understand Saturday was a pretty good run for you guys. Tell us about your trip on Saturday.
Yeah, so Saturday, it was, we started off, there was a lot of fast teams at this race, and I knew we could be competitive. We're not necessarily the fastest drivers at any of these races, but I just tell my drivers, who is Mark and Mike and Josh, run as fast as you can without making mistakes. And the longer you stay on the track, it's going to help us in the long run, being consistent lap times and not making mistakes. You think about one spin costs you 15, 30 seconds if you don't hit anything. And then, you're never going to make that time back up. So we just kept our heads down, kept doing really good pit stops. And, we go out on our last stint and we're in second place, 2 laps down. And then Basilini has an issue, and we're close enough to capitalize on it. So, yeah, that worked out really well on Saturday.
It was a tough race. We started out with about, I think, 22 cars started the race. One failed to start. And I want to say by about halfway, we had maybe 12 running. And it was tough. I mean, it's the track doesn't seem that hard on cars, but it took a lot of cars out. I mean, not necessarily the track. It could have been prep on the cars, or just maybe cars are just coming to end of life at this race. But you guys did pretty consistent 130s, and the CU Boulder team, man, they were pulling on you guys. They were sitting there doing 128s. And,
yes, but they had to do an extra fuel stop because they couldn't do 2-hour stints.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as I saw that too, because they were one of the teams we were watching, as soon as I saw them come in an hour and a half, I was like, okay, right there's 4 laps I can gain on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could get 4 laps on a stop. That was, I forgot. It's a small track. And I discovered that when I'm trying to take pictures of some of the cards. It's like, I got time to move over here. No, I don't. There they go. So yeah, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
A minute 30 goes by pretty quick. But yeah, the number 6 Basil Weenie, they had some issues. And once you saw them drop out, I mean, that was, or pull back in the paddock. You think you had it?
Well, to make it even more interesting, JC's radio wasn't, he couldn't hear us in the pits. We could hear him. So he didn't know what place he was in. We're in like stressing about it. And he would say something to us, and I'd run out with a sign go up to pit in and put a sign out and hope he'd understand what I'm trying to tell him. He didn't know he won until he came in and parked in impound.
Yeah, I came in and Thomas was like right there, and I was like, because I saw the checkered flag come out for me in like first, and there was like, it wasn't already out when I came around the final turn, and I was like, so when I came in the impound, I asked Thomas, I was like, did I just win that race?
That's your first win, right?
Yeah, that's our first overall win. Yes, we've got one class or 2 class wins between the North team and the South team.
Okay. So what's this North team and South team thing? What's that?
So I'm in the South team. I live down in Texas, and we run the Boxster, and I've got an ARC-7 that we run too, or we have run. We haven't run it in a while. And then the North team up where Mark lives is where his brother and my dad live, and they have a Volvo 940 that they run up in Watkins Glen. And
that's right.
And
Yep.
I think
it's more Chevy than it is Volvo. It's a Chevolvo.
Yeah, that's right. It's got an LS or something in it, 350 or something.
Yeah. So we run in that bad naughty class of EC, but we have fun. There's a bunch of EC cars up this area that we race against if we can finish. But it's fast when it's going. That's for sure. It's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
So the Chevolvo must be the only Volvo in North America that doesn't have electrical problems, right?
I don't know. You have to ask Randy Popes that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of Volvos, and I must have spent. I don't think I've spent more time changing light bulbs in any car I've ever been involved with than a Volvo. It was just inherently horrible with electrical.
Yeah, the Volvo was kind of a long story, I guess. But my dad had a Volvo and Jeep dealership years and years ago, and so Volvo was kind of a special thing for us. And,
nice.
After JC and his dad did the one race at the Glen, and we were up north, we were like, let's try to do this. My brother, my younger brother, who had moved to the Philippines, he left 2 Volvos, one that mostly ran and one that definitely didn't. It's like, oh, well, we got these 2 cars. We can make one out of them. And I mean, little we know, it's really a stupid idea, but as the old CEO used to say, I didn't pick your car. Well,
yeah.
I know that was our fault. We picked the Volvo, but
well, they look good on paper.
Fun.
They look good on paper. I mean, what was that ad? Until Ferrari built a station wagon, this is it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So how did Sunday go? I think you guys came home second on Sunday, right?
Yep.
We did. And actually, I'm more proud of our job on Sunday than the Saturday, because, winning the race on Saturday, we started a lap down. And so we basically started last. And by the end of the first stint, we were second place, 2 laps behind. Yeah, so I drove first on Sunday, and we got up to second place, 2 laps behind Basilini. The second driver, Mike, unlapped ourselves, got us on the same lap as Basilini. Our third driver, Josh, passed Basilini for the lead, made a mistake, got passed back, and then got back by him again. Gapped him by about 20 seconds or so. And then the last stint happened right at that last yellow. And we lost the lead because we were in the pits when that came out, and we lost the lead. But came out, when the race restarted, we were second place right behind Basilini. And Mark... or they kind of jumped the gun. Oh, so Mark drove the last stint, and they kind of jumped the gun on the restart and gapped us by about 14 seconds. But Mark worked up to 2 seconds behind him, and then some faster traffic behind us that was like multiple laps down caught us, and he got tangled up in that, lost some time, and then we still finished second, 20 seconds behind first place. But I was really proud of our team, how we came from starting a lap down dead last back to second place, only 20 seconds behind.
I mean, that was a tough ending. I mean, it was just everybody was pushing as hard as they could.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. I mean, and we were running a live stream in our thing, so they could watch. They watch all the little mistakes I'm making, trying to push a mid-engine Porsche a little too hard. Is not the best recipe, but I kept it on track, and it was exciting. I was a little disappointed to finish second, but it was a lot of fun. Obviously, it was an awesome time.
It was at JC when I interviewed him. You talked about all dialing out all the oversteer, or the snap oversteer, as the mid-engine folks call it. You spent a lot of time dialing that out. Was that hard to do, or did you do a lot of testing to get that out of there?
So once again, I can credit Saling's team for that. So just looking at their car and their impound gave me some ideas, and we tried them out. And then yes, we did a bunch of testing on it and made some tweaks. And yeah, it handles a lot like just a front engine car now. You can rotate the car with the throttle in the mid corner now, which. The way it was set up before, you could not do that at all. It would just come around on you. So, and it helps a lot. Wet. Yes, especially in the wet. Yeah, and so that helps. Go ahead.
Is the car pretty stable in the wet?
It is. When we first started racing this car, we had a much stiffer suspension on it, which was great in the dry, but holy mackerel, with it, a nightmare in the wet. So, it's a softer suspension now. And it is, a lot better in the wet.
So what's up next for Kruger Tuned Racing? Where do you guys head to with this car next?
This car, Mid-Ohio, is going to be our next race. I'm going to do the 1.5-day drive to get it up there. And I've driven there once during the one lap, and it's a spectacular facility.
Yep.
So looking forward to doing a much longer race there.
Yeah.
Now you guys had some problems going home from this Hallett race, or you got around the problems? There was a lot of storms.
Holy macro, those were some storms. I've lived in Texas for almost 20 years now, and I've never seen a storm that looked like that. It was very impressive. Yeah, we just waited. It was sitting right over 35 heading back south, and we just waited until it moved off, and then, delayed us a couple hours. But it was a spectacular light show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it was nothing I've ever seen up north, that's for sure. And
no.
You look at a radar and you're like, what's beyond purple? That's what it was.
Yeah, because it's like when you're up in Buffalo, that area, purple is usually a lot of snow or something, it's just
you're getting 6 inches of snow in an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, congratulations on a great win on Saturday, and to kind of have the stick-to-itiveness to work through Sunday, and come home second. Anybody you want to thank out there? I mean, I'm sure you got a whole slew of sponsors that you wanna talk about here.
We don't technically really have any sponsors, but I would really like to thank our families, our wives. My wife specifically, my mom, my dad for helping me get into cars. I mean, everything I know about cars I've learned from my dad. So that's a huge thanks to him. My mom comes to a lot of our races and helps out a bunch. My wife helps out a bunch. I'm sure Mark has the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was a big influencer, obviously, and I didn't get racing when he was still alive, which is a big regret. But a lot of support from JC's parents. I've always been close to them too, and my wife, obviously, allowing me to do stuff that she would rather me not do. Actually, this past weekend, she watched the last part of the last half hour of my stint, and she's like, "I'm never doing that again." And my oldest son, Mike, is 21, and he's done 2 races at Pittsburgh in the Volvo. So it really is a family thing for us. We do these races, and it's not just a race; it's a family reunion. That's a big push for us. It's even with the guys that JC has friends, Josh and Mike. They're just a extended family for us.
Nice. All right. Well, that's going to do it here, Bill. Anything else before we head out?
I do have one question.
Uh-oh.
Chuck raced with Brock Yates at the 67 Daytona, 24 Hours of Daytona. How'd they do?
They finished 15th.
Wow, overall?
They from what my mom tells me, the Dodge actually had a pro team there, and I mean, it was just my dad and Brock racing and doing it all themselves, really. And
wow.
And my 2 older brothers were there,
but
they were just younger and messing around. But when the pro team broke, Dodge team, those guys actually came over and started helping them, getting them on track and stuff.
Nice.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they beat some pretty big names. If you look at the actual results out there, they beat some pretty big names. 1967 was a pretty good year of that
was
race.
A big transition in sports car racing. You started getting the really high power stuff coming in.
And was that when they had the big winged Super Bees? Is that what the pro team was running?
That was 60. No, that was later.
Okay.
That was that was like 69 was the Dodge Charger Daytona. And
You'd remember that, Bill.
70. Yeah, because I'm kind of older.
There we go.
Hey, this isn't being filmed, right?
Of course. And you know what the thing is? I control that video now. So, Bill, you know the address. You can make that check out to BRIAN.
Yeah. There we go. Thanks, guys. This was a pretty awesome weekend there in Oklahoma, and it's great to see a newish team, win for the first time.
Yeah, thanks. We definitely, it was a great weekend. We really like racing with the ChampCar series, so we look forward to our next race.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Thank you.
JC and Mark Kruger from Kruger Tuned Racing. They won the Saturday race at Hallett in a Porsche Boxster and did pretty darn well on Sunday as well. Thanks, guys, for being with us. When we come back, we're going to take a look ahead to Watkins Glen. That's coming up next on Inside ChampCar.
Every race weekend, you don't know what's going to happen. But with ChampCar.live, all the action comes right into your living room. The ChampCar Endurance Series is North America's home to real competitive endurance road racing. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car, trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car and trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. Check out ChampCar.live on the web, subscribe, and ring the bell so as not to miss a single minute of the action. It's fun, free, informative, and it's just a click away. ChampCar.live. Come check us out. We bring you a front row seat, but you'll only need the edge.
And we are back to Inside ChampCar. Bill Strong, Brian Polanski. I feel like, Bill, I say this every week. Some good guys.
Yeah, they're fun to race with. They're fun to watch race, and that's always a good combination.
Well, and I'm always fun to talk to guys who drive Porsches because those are my faves. That's my dream. Yeah. Someday I'll get past my midlife crisis and actually be able to afford a Porsche. So Paulie's little announcement there where he says they only need that seat, edge of the seat or whatever. The edge.
Yes, there was on my 3-week trip just recently, they were talking about Jan Gabriel. I think he's the one that actually did the that type of or style of announcing.
Okay.
For the drag strips and all that.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Great Lakes Dragaway was the one I used to hear. That was the drag race up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, or just outside of Lake Geneva. And they actually, if anybody's watching at home, which they're not, there's a trophy over my whatever the left shoulder is.
Yeah.
And the tall one back there, that was my one drag race and my one trophy, my one first place at a drag race. I figure I'm never going back to drag racing again because I'll never do it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I beat a Corvette with a Fiero.
Oh, that's funny.
It was awesome. It was so much fun. Anyway, good guys. Congratulations to the Kruger Tuned Racing Porsches. Porsche, they won on Saturday at Hallett, and what a great conversation. So cool. So, got to put Hallett in our rearview mirror now and talk a little bit about Watkins Glen coming up. Big numbers for Watkins Glen. You guys are going to have some fun up there.
Yeah, we have 2,614 cars signed up. Or is that we had 115 earlier this week, but and some people freaked out on the internet. 115 cars, it's gonna be mayhem. And
now it's down
Mr.
to 106.
Mr. Dana Morrison, he plans this. We have enough experience in this series over the last 12 years to know that we're gonna have some dropouts.
Sure.
And guys that don't get their cars done in time. So we're down to 108.
Okay.
So that's also still a good race, I think. And we have a lot of folks coming out. Visceral Racing will be there with their 3 cars. Warrior Racing, 2 cars. There's a whole bunch. Triple R will have 2 or 3 cars there. Salins is bringing all 3, the 2 Porsches and 1 Mazda RX-7. So that'll make some teams happy. with the RX-7. We
Sure.
got Ross Motor Racing showing up with two cars. The Punisher will be there, or Porsche 928, which we haven't seen a 928 in a while. I think the last 928 I saw there was Visceral attempted to race one, but it didn't end well. MLC Racing's bringing 3 cars, 2 Chevrolet Corvettes, and a BMW. How's that trailer going to look with all the spare parts in it?
That'll be expensive spare parts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. MDR Motorsports. And then Troy Trujillo and the McKibbins Biohazard Racing will show up with Toyota MR2 V6 2.0.
There you go.
That's that center seated Toyota MR2. MBM Performance will have 2 Mazda Miatas there. Laps of Honor will be there with their Corvette. It's a beautiful gray Corvette EC car. Let's see, Junk Player Specials there. They're out of the Ohio area. They're always at our Northeast races. Haywood Racing's got 2 Miatas in the race. Good, bad, and the ugly. They're going to be there with their Corvette. If that thing can stay together and not have issues like they did last year, they should do quite well. Flying Ghost will be there with the Frozen Rotors and the Hawk Performance BMWs. Let's see, Continuous Rotation Racing, which is their Mazda Miata. I love that name. Continuous Rotation Racing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boston Winers returns with their slew of BMWs. They've got 3 cars in this race. They've been coming to this race forever. My Team Bliss Racing will be there with their Chevrolet Camaro Z28. I'm taking my gear with me. You never know.
Okay. All
and
right.
Atlanta Speedworks is coming up all the way from Atlanta to be there with their Porsche Boxer and their Honda CRX. But 90 Racing will be there with the old 90 on the side of the car instead of the number 1. And they'll be there with the R-Bank Racing Saab 900. And that's a that's the Saab 900, not the Honda. So that'll be cool. But what's going to be kind of cool is Visceral Racing's 959 will be at the track. And we will present Ron with his number 1 national championship number for the doors. And Dana will get that done on Friday.
Nice. So, that's what we got to look forward to. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Anything else they should know getting ready to go? I mean, is there any special rules? Anything?
Oh, with Watkins Glenn, there's a ton of special rules.
Right.
Make sure that you guys download the supplementals and read them. I don't care if you're driving the car, towing the car. If you're looking at the car, you download those subs, read them, learn them, know them, because you're going to need them when you get to the track. And you follow the instructions.
I should read the subs into a podcast so people can listen to them on their way to the racetrack. That might be the only way they'll get them in, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm liking this idea.
Yeah, make sure you read those subs because Dana's got a lot of important information in there. And download it right before you leave because things change. The track notices something. Oh, we're not doing it that way anymore. We got to do this way. Make sure you see the emails from Dana, the whole bit. He'll be sending those out shortly.
I'll read the subs like it's a romance novel.
With breaks and pauses. And lots of questions.
Do not put stakes in the concrete.
Oh, you have to do it like
for
William
your
Shatner.
tents. Yes.
You got to do it like William Shatner.
I can do it that way too. Stakes.
Well, you're in LA. Maybe we can get William Shatner too.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I think we're gonna have a new thing. We got a new thing coming, guys. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Anything else before we wrap this one up?
Great to be home. And
Sure.
great to see you guys again. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming up to me at the track and saying this is an awesome show. I said I keep telling them over and over again, I do all the work. I'm awesome at this. And Brian just is the eye candy for this show. But no, Brian, everybody's saying this is a great little show. They like listening to it. And thank you again.
If I am the eye candy, this show is screwed. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you'd share it on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page if you like it. If you don't like it, the Facebook page to comment on is Bill Strong's. Especially if it's a good one, we'll take that. We have new episodes every week. He is
Bill Strong.
I'm Brian Belansky. This is the Racing Wire Podcast Network.